Okay, we should be live. Sorry for the delay. It seems like there was a bit of a slow connection on YouTube and a few of the other sites today, but we're good to go. Welcome everyone to yet another Moonshire Monday. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate that. I'm seeing a lot of folks in chat already. I'm seeing Defy on Twitch. I'm seeing Defy on YouTube as well. Potato and Wolf and Bayron and Cactus Jack. Thank you so much for being here. Tech support, excuse me. Appreciate that. What I was going to mention is that today I'm going to be showing off a new open source repo I made, a new open source library that I integrated into Moonshire, and I decided to make it open source. But I'm gonna go ahead and show that. Been waiting for a week for this. Awesome. Well, I'm happy to have you here. So what I'm going to show is this. This is a new character-by-character text reveal for Love 2D. It's called Speak Easy. So if you check this out on GitHub, this is a library for Love 2D and like just Lua code in general that can help with making dialogue boxes. And this is what that looks like. Well, when I integrated it into Moonshire, it looks like this. So it has the process of revealing each character one by one, and each character, you can see, has like a little tween to it. So it has the tweening process where it grows up, and it reveals each character one by one, and it works with any font, it works with any scale. So I think that this is a pretty useful set of code for someone who was working with Love 2D and text, because getting some of this stuff to, render properly is a little bit challenging. And I think some people could possibly use that. Bayron on Twitch, Bayron on Kick. Appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the support. Same with Saba and John and Future34 and Bob. That's actually fire. Thank you. I think that this is going to be helpful because I've gotten that question a few times where specifically, I was playing Dewdrop Dynasty, which is Goodgus's game, and in that game, his text effects are really, really good. And by the way, you can run this repo as is without integrating it into any project. I'll show what that looks like. But I was playing Goodgus's game, and it inspired me. I'm like, that's really, really nice looking. So if you run Speak Easy through Love 2D, just as is, I included this main.lua, which is like a little demo. It has this message, and it shows how you can incorporate this library into Love 2D. And this is what that looks like. It's really, really simple, but it's feature rich. It has a lot of really helpful stuff that you can use. Like you can scale it up. You can hear it's playing sound effects. You can change the width and height of the bubble, or maybe not the height. The height's just based on the size of the text. It looks nice, thank you. How come you don't add portraits too? I probably could do that. At the moment, I don't know if I'm going to be doing portraits for my game, just because. I could do that though. Speak Easy, clever name. Thank you. I am pretty proud of it. I actually spent a long time thinking about that. In fact, I've shown this library on my streams before, but it was called Lip Service. I called it Lip Service, and then I was frustrated that Lip Service had a dash in it, because all of my code now had a dash in the paths, and I didn't like it. It was really annoying. And also, Speak Easy being one word. Well, so yeah, Speak Easy has no dash. I think it's a better name. And then also, it's more descriptive. It's more descriptive of it's meant to make like these text bubbles easier to interact with. Character like a square because I do a game. My character is like a Funko Pop, but your character is like a square, but not a Funko Pop. Yeah, I love making characters that are square shaped. I think that in general, that makes for a game that is easier to, design around. If I show the colliders, all the characters have really simple hitboxes, and personally, I like that. Because imagine if my character was really tall, because it's easier to design a tall character, you know, one that has more human proportions. In fact, I have my, like this, like it's easier to design a taller character, and some of these are like exceptionally tall. And the problem with like this character here is that his hitbox is at his feet. His hitbox is around here, or sorry, like it's like here. Because this section up here is like above the ground. If a rat was crawling on the ground and attacked this guy, it would only be able to hit him at his legs. It wouldn't hit him up here. Now, if it was a bat, though, if it was a bat like flying in the air, like a scary giant bird, it would hit him up here. So like this is like a perspective thing. I personally find that short characters lend themselves better to, you know, a perspective like that. My biggest character / boss sprite. I'll show some of the ones from the pre-factor, or probably something from the Steam pilot demo. By the way, I'm trying to decide how to categorize all the different versions of Moonshire, because there's just so many. In the level editor stream, you said you were working on a devlog, but do you have any idea when that'll come out? I really want to get it out this week. I know I keep changing my mind on that, but like I have the script ready. I just need to film it. I'm so sorry that it's been so behind on that. I've just been procrastinating on it. I need to work on it. I need to work on it, because what it comes down to is I need to manage my time better in terms of balancing making content and working on the game. And recently I've just been working on the game, and I have so much stuff I can show. In fact, I have too much stuff I can show. I really should have made a devlog sooner than this. Making your own game engine, but I don't really know what to add to it since I have a full creative control over it. I say then just start making your own game, start working on a game, and add features to it as needed. And honestly, that's kind of how I'm doing that. Want to learn how to animate and puppeteer a large multi-sprite character. A large multi-sprite character. Oh, okay. Well, so I don't have any multi-sprite characters. That's something that I'll probably do in the future. But like you're talking about like a big boss where like his hands and his arms and his body and his head, maybe they all kind of are disconnected, and then they maybe move independently. I don't think I do that for any of my bosses. At the moment, all my bosses are just like big, you know, big sprites, and I'll pull up some of the bigger ones real quick. It's actually been a hot minute since I've looked at some of these, because I've been just working on engine level stuff. That's the other thing, is that I spend all this time working on engine code and things like making an open source library for dialogue systems. This takes time to make, and I love making software. I love coding this stuff, but it does take time away from development. I need to get my priorities straight. Maybe having a demo ready and make a devlog around it might be a good idea. I totally agree. These are new features. You can try them out now. I think that was a really big appeal to my earlier videos, is that you could actually test out and try out what I was talking about. And like, especially now, I think that's most important, just because the game is so different. I really want people to test out what I have, because we have like the jumping system, and the whole engine's different. I need to make sure that everything is running properly on everyone's computer. I'm definitely a big fan of like open playtests and getting open feedback, because you're able to find so much more stuff when you have like people openly playing the game. How do you find your color palettes? I check out the website lowspec.com. That is where I originally like found my colors, and actually this is what the color palette is right here. But I'm going to show some of those bigger enemies. Whoops. Enemies. Bosses. So this is Daitenge. This is probably the biggest one. Maybe this one's bigger, but I really, really love this character. This one's made by Tris Pixels, and this one is made by Ellie Sprites. Both of them are awesome. And by the way, I want to add a really fun. I want to add like a weird attack for this boss. When I remake him in the new engine, I want to give him an attack where he sneezes, and he sneezes out one of these slimes, and like his ads, like he spawns a bunch of slime enemies that you have to fight by sneezing out like big red blobs. I just think that would be so funny, because he himself is like a big red And he has like a giant nose too. I think it really suits it. So I think that would be great. It looks like Mr. Karate. He does kind of have like the what do you call that? The kimono? Not a kimono. Just whatever you call that. The gi. Make a cloud separated from the guy you fight both of them. That honestly could work. And I am a big fan of multiple stages of fights. Like this fight over here with the... It's like a glass orb enshrouding this girl. I'm thinking maybe there could be a final form. Because the game kind of has 2 phases right now. By the way, Cloud becomes Krakow. Oh, that totally could be it. It has a mind of its own. But maybe the girl can like bust out and then she's just fighting you as a without the glass orb or something like that. That dude, the scope creep is real. I need to like calm down and just make a game. And the biggest thing is I need to figure out what the scope of the new demo is going to be. It is so important that I get this this version out for people to use, because you absolutely, it's so easy. I could give people this and then they can just like start putting together custom levels, because it's all functional. It's all ready for people to use. It's just there are still some features I need to get right, and there's still a lot of bugs, so I'm trying to get that all figured out. It's one of those perfectionist things. I don't really need to have all of this ready. It was like a big time commitment basically for me to implement this level editing system. I'm so glad I have it. Like for real, it's going to be a major improvement to development for myself and whoever I hire to help with level design. Because the goal is that, well, what originally happened is that I did have someone helping me with level design, and we were working off the tiled maps, and tiled is fine. Tiled works great, but it was a little bit clunky considering how many layers I had to work with. That line under Lua looks off a little bit. It uses shaders, so the reason the line looks a little bit off is because it uses shaders to draw that like little ripple line. And you see, like, it covers the bucket as well, and that's what makes this process so complex, is the line needs to match whatever the size of the thing is. So like I got rid of the bucket and now that line is gone, and if I switch to another one, this one I think is it really demonstrates it. Check out the tip of the pickaxe. The tip of the pickaxe is going into the water, and you can see it's creating a small blue ripple just where the tip is entering in. And I do agree that it kind of does contrast with the pixel aesthetic, but I think that it helps a lot with getting everything to come together. There's a lot of cheats in the game in terms of like the pixel art, the true pixel size. Like even the pickaxe, I'm holding it at an angle. It's angled pixels, and some of these cheats do have like drawbacks. I agree that like looking at this on its own, I don't think that the water ripple at its like bottom looks perfect. I think it would be better if I had like a dedicated floating sprite. But when I'm able to put anything into the water, like I can push this guy into the water, and there he is. He's in the water. It just uses shaders to figure out where that ripple should go. Everything is it's all so flexible now. He's drowning. Yeah, his face probably should be above the water, but you know, maybe slimes can breathe underwater. Can this game have multiplayer? Yes, the goal is for it to have multiplayer. How much time you spent in the special tile map? I wonder when I started talking about the custom level editor. Maybe for like half a year. The water effect is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I did spend a lot of time making the water effect, but this is the thing is, all of this stuff already kind of existed in the Steam demo. So the version on Steam was from 2023, and you could still go in the water. All of this stuff was still functional, basically. The game was a good like proof of concept, but it was just all so hacky. It's just like basically custom coding all of these custom special scenarios. And by the way, enemies couldn't go in the water in the Steam demo. If an enemy went into the water, it would just die instantly. Here, well, let's get him out of the water. Let's get him out. He's suffered long enough. There. How do you feel? The slime looks unusually composed, as though it has been waiting patiently for you. It gives you a courteous little wobble. That's nice. The waterline should cover the character. The waterline should cover the character. Well, it does. Here, I'll try and zoom in more. Yeah, so it's really hard to see. But that oh, sorry. It wasn't visible. So it is covering like whatever object thing that goes into the water. Like it's actually covering the sprite, but you know, it's small. It's a very minor detail. And somewhere I'm able to adjust that. Also, look at the look at the tip. The tip of my mouse. Why is it so gross looking? I don't know why it's like that. How much bosses? Sorry, I was having trouble reading that. How many bosses do I have? So in the Steam demo, there was 4. I can create rivers with the level editor. Oh, yeah, totally. That's what makes it so cool, is that it's just like really easy to place stuff around. And the idea is that each tool does something different. Like you use this to build the structures, and you can, even as I'm building this, you can see that sometimes the tiles get a little screwed up. I think that I could still get the demo out with, even with small tile details like that, a little wrong. But all of this stuff works pretty well, and it's really easy to use. Because like designing a structure like this in tiled was pretty annoying, and oh yeah, and see, look at that. The reason it's doing this is because I stacked it on top after the first one was placed. That's just a bug with these stacking things. That's what I'm saying, is that there's just the level editor stuff adds a lot of extra complexity. Because the messages were in Spanish, and thanks for confirming. How do you make the tiles in a selected spot? How do I make the tiles in a selected spot? Well, so the whole game is set up in terms of JSON. So I'm going to show that, because that's a big aspect of how this works. So this is the level that I have loaded right now. It's called ledge.json. And ledge.json is just meant to be a really simple example. It has, like, you can see the weather properties and the biome. But what we are talking about in terms of like the tiles, it mainly comes from like these, the blocks and the terrain. The terrain refers to like the floor pattern. So let's focus on that. Where here we have turf grass. It tells us actually specifically that we're putting this on the turf layer, and the tile set we're using is the grass tile set. And the grass tile set really is just that. It's just, I'll show that real quick. If I go to my tiles, then I go over to ground, and then I find the grass. So that's what the grass tile set is. And you'll see though that in the JSON, I'm not defining specifically which tiles to use at any given spot. What I'm doing is I'm saying that there is grass. I'm just saying there exists grass at this location. And actually it's saying the VX span, that's saying it's a line of them. So even though this is one big object, or sorry, here, this one is one big object, since it says VY span, that means it's going to be a narrow, long strip of it at this position. And so it takes these blocks, it takes these groups of like cell positions, and it clusters them. And I could probably show that too. I think I have clusters. It clusters all of those groups together, and it tries, well, I mean, it succeeds. It succeeds mostly, but as you can see, there are times where it just gets a little bit screwed up, especially in terms of like the draw order. That is very, very, very tough. But it clusters them, and with that cluster, it's able to, or there's just more logic involved where, let's say that, let me pull up, and also let me show, I'm gonna spawn, what a pain in the butt. I wanted to show this. Okay, so you can see the grid here, and like, the terrain actually exists on the vertices, and then the blocks exist on the cell sections themselves. So when I click a block here, all that it's telling this JSON object, it's telling it that there exists a block at this position, and then this X-span, Y-span thing, 3 by 3, that's just saying if I made this bigger, like 3 by 3. Okay, so this is literally what this object is talking about, is a 3 by 3 block. Although the type here says sod, that's the grass. So that's another feature, is that you can change over to the sod type, and then we can make a 3 by 3 sod platform. Yeah, there's no timeline at the moment. Like I've been saying, I've been kind of struggling on figuring out what the scope of the new demo is going to be, but what I want to do is get this in the hands of people, because you can see that it's all working fine. It's all working really, really good. The reason I worked on all this from the start is just because I wanted to make it simpler for people to make their own custom content. When I was working with another developer to make new levels for Moonshire, we really struggled with like the process of building stuff. It was just too time consuming and tedious and clunky. And doing it in engine is so much quicker. And it's more approachable. I feel like anyone, including like a kid or just someone who's not technically like super experienced, you know, you don't have to know much to do this. Corex, hi, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. I'm just showing off some of the level editing stuff since that's a really big topic, but today really I was originally working on like this dialogue system. But basically, long story short, is after all of this is said and done, when you place a block down, it has that data in the JSON, and with this, that's when it goes through and it constructs where do the tiles go, which tiles do I need to use, and where exactly do they go. We know that there exists sod at this exact positions, but now the code has to go through and use like a really complicated algorithm to figure out which tile to place at any given spot. And it does that by checking like the surrounding tiles. The reason it knows to use like a corner piece right here is because it sees that this cluster is a big block, it's a big section, and it just knows how to do that. Your art improved since last year. Thank you. I actually think it has too. The editor looks great. I think so as well. I'm really optimistic about it. Even though there are some bugs, I think that it's perfectly usable and people could make really good content already. What I want to do, I want to hold like a contest. I think that'd be fun, is if, like, make an obstacle course contest. Who can make the coolest obstacle course, and then we can have like a speed run of it. That'd be neat, because like I always show off the movement. The game has really fun movement. You can do like triple jumps, and there's dashes, and there's a lot more stuff that we could play around with. If you're working on dialogue windows, did you calculate for other languages? Yes, the way that the dialogue box works, and I might even be able to test this. Is there like somewhere I can copy some like Japanese text example? Maybe Japanese is too complex. How about Korean text sample? Because all I want to do is I just want to copy some Korean text into this, and we're going to see how it turns out. So I can go over into, I have this in the registry. So it doesn't matter what the language is and what the glyphs it uses are. Where did I put this? It's in registry, excuse me. So let's, how about he gives you a little wobble and then he says this. That's amazing. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, I can't wait. The slime looks unusually composed, as though it has been waiting patiently for you. It gives you a courteous little wobble. Oh no! Okay, I think this is actually a limitation of the font. Here, this is a limitation of the font. That was not my fault. That was not my fault, I swear. Here, let's try something easier, like a French text sample. And then, Because French has some of those funny characters too, right? Oh my gosh, why can I not just find any? En français. We'll have it say this. Uh-oh, that didn't work. Okay, here, I'll copy what Wolf just said. Okay, so it does have those characters. I think that what happened was a problem with the font itself, because I'm using this one called Pixel Sans, and it might not have those. How can I show all of them? Because it has, I think it does have all of those. It has this cool, like, this cool cheat sheet. I swear it has Korean. It has galactic alphabet. Has Japanese symbols. Oh wait, these are Japanese symbols, I see. And katakana. I guess we can look for Korean. But, well, the thing is, if I said Korean, I don't know if that's actually what I'm supposed to be looking for. That font just doesn't have Korean expressions or symbols. Well, that's a pretty big problem. I guess I could just, like, commission someone to make those. Whoa, Wolf, it translated that. That's so cool. It said, "Good morning, Kyle." But then it's this. Whoa. Okay. So, let's see. Let's try a different... And also, like, my strategy of Googling sample of language is not working. It's terrible, so I'm gonna use Gemini. I like to avoid using AI when I can, but, like, when no other option exists, give me a sample Japanese katakana text. What about Google Translate? I mean, this is essentially the same thing. What does this mean? Oh, okay. Well, here. We'll copy this. Let's see if this one works. Google doesn't work, so I'm gonna use Google. Well, quite literally, yeah. Hey! Okay, that one works. Now, this one's good. So we can do Japanese katakana, and that will work fine. Japanese programs in the 80s use exclusively katakana. Okay, so this one's good. We'll be able to port Japanese, no problem. It probably doesn't have kanji either, doesn't? It looks like only hiragana and katakana. The funny thing is, like, I don't even know what the different contexts are for when I would use these. But I like this. By the way, this Pixel Sans, I think there's an open source version of it, but I paid for this. So this is like, I think I paid $20 actually for this font because specifically it had all these extended characters. Like, look at all these. I don't even know what this is. What does that mean? I'll where's my Gemini session? Oh, here it is. How about this? What the heck does... That's crazy. Was using Old Norse? Oh, yeah, I see. I recognize it from God of War. From God of War Ragnarok. Which takes place in Norse, by the way. They changed it. It used to be Greek. I had galactic alphabet, but not Korean. I know. Hey! Whoa! Cool! That's amazing. Well, to all of my Norse friends out there, you are in good hands. That's awesome. Okay. I think that does mean though that I'm gonna have to probably hire someone to create Japanese character, or not Japanese, Korean characters whenever it comes time to translate that. But also, what do you guys think of the readability of this font? Like, give me your thoughts. Because I think that this looks pretty good. I can read this well. I love this font, thank you. I think that it's a good font. Looks good to you? Good. I think that it is readable. I think that it is a good font, and if I went with this for the final version of the game, I think that would be fine. I think that would be good. You think it's good too? Thank you. I think that it's good too. I live in Sweden, I definitely write like that. Okay. It's probably set up so people can use those runes for specific interactions, puzzles, rather than proper language support. That makes sense. I would imagine so. And like, that's true. There's lots of scenarios where like you insert like one Greek character. Like in math, you would say alpha or something like that, or you use sigma for calculus a lot. It looks pretty good, however, without the transparent black background frame, it can become a little hard to read. Yeah, I think that one thing, I need to adjust a few things, is it's hard to tell with the colors, but the drop shadow on the text is not great. I'm zooming in real quick. What is going on? Do you see this? Something happened. Something broke. What's going on? Okay, jeez, what the heck was that? Something happened. That was really weird. I'm sorry about that. Like, I couldn't control my mouse for a moment. The Norse he copied was an ancient Norse virus. Oh no! He's casting a spell on us. Brr. Okay, anyway. It's because Korean has Unicode that includes a block for 11,000 pre-composed Hangul symbols, unlike the galactic alphabet that might be simpler to implement. Yeah, I guess, does anyone out there know, is Korean a particularly difficult language to work with in terms of rendering? Looks pretty good, however, without the... Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I was going to mention that the drop shadow is not great. Anyway, I was going to mention that I like this font a lot, but it's still not as good as Sea of Stars font. Sea of Stars font is, without a doubt, the best font I've seen in any game ever. So I'm going to show that real quick just because I love it so much. And I wish that I could figure out what makes it so good. It might be the resolution, because mine's more pixely than Sea of Stars is. But I'm going to go ahead and show it because it's really good. Okay, it's this font. But like, something about it is really, really readable. So when I see this font here, and I compare this to my font, Korean works by mixing symbols together to create syllables. Oh, interesting. I wonder how games do that. What makes it look more complicated is the letters are arranged into syllable blocks. I see. So I look at this font, this Sea of Stars font, and I think it looks amazing. It looks perfect. Wow, these two songs that are playing are kind of at odds. We have Sanctuary Guardians and Sea of Stars. Here's around Sea of Stars a square. Sea of Stars it does take up more space. It is also higher resolution. Like, if like this lowercase c compared to a lower, like, look at the C in ambiance, or the C. Is there any other C's on screen? Just the C in ambiance. But like, it's definitely bigger here compared to here. This one's pretty small. Perhaps yours more edgy while there's more wavy. I think that it does mainly come down to the size, I think. Is that the pixels here in Sea of Stars are smaller compared to what we're seeing here. So I guess that raises a question. Would it be better to try to find a higher resolution font and then shrink it and then like try, you know, basically replicate the ratio that Sea of Stars is going. I think your font is bolder than this. I think that my font is bolder than this. Yes, mine is like more pixely. It's like it's more small, so it like emphasizes the pixels a little bit more. I think this fits the game more. In a way, it does kind of. So I think I am gonna stick with this Open Sans for a while because I already have it, and it does look good. Like I see this and it looks good. So I should probably just call it good and say that's great. And in the future, if I want to revisit this, then I can do more research. I can maybe commission someone. Like I said, I have to commission some font work anyway if we want to support Korean or whatever other languages isn't as part of Open Sans or Pixel Sans, whatever it was called. Consider another font in the future if you want. Well, yeah, I can. The reason why I am I'm not married to Open Sans or Pixel Sans. Pixel Sans is what it's called. The reason why I like it is because it looks really good and also has all these special characters, because that's a big problem. I can find other pixel fonts that I like better than Pixel Sans, actually. There's some really, really good ones out there. But absolutely none of them have this many characters. Extended Latin? I don't even know what that means. I don't, what does this mean? Cyrillic? That sounds pretty cool. It looks like, Cyrillic. Sorry, I don't know what that means. I'm afraid I just don't know what that means. I'm trying to think of what language would use these. Cyrillic is for Russian. Okay. Okay, I recognize it now. Cyrillic for Russian. Gotcha. Yeah, like 95% of fonts are just basic English characters. It's true. Is that it's not wise to fixate so much on the minor, like the 5% of problems. Having a pixel font that looks good is the primary goal, and as long as it looks good in English, that's going to cover most scenarios. I can add more languages in the future, but at the same time, though. Like even special characters like the ones for French or Spanish, like a lot of them are missing these. Like extended Latin characters are used in European languages, so or if I want to write love uses this character right here. Sorry, is that on the screen? It's the umlaut O. And that just doesn't exist in most of the pixel fonts. So I know how to edit fonts. It's really annoying, but like I know how to do it, I guess. So like Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, half of Balkans, Kazakhstan. Okay, gotcha. So like the Eastern Europe, Western Asia area. My geography skills are a little lacking. I'm not well traveled, unfortunately. I've only lived in the U.S. and even like I haven't traveled too much, unfortunately. I had the opportunity to go to Europe. I had the opportunity to interview at a company in the UK, and I really should have taken that opportunity, but I was working at the time. I wasn't really able to just drop what I was doing and go on a overseas like vacation. About 1/10 of the world uses Cyrillic. That's a lot. That's like a ton. Sorry, one second. My cat's screaming. She's like crying. I want to make sure she's okay. Misty. Uh-oh. She's puking. Oh my god. Okay. I'm back. Sorry about that. Where's the cat? Here, I'll go grab her. She's okay. Are you alright? Here she is. She's doing okay. But yeah, she got sick. See, she's really well behaved. Whenever she gets sick, she goes, meow, meow. And so I heard her, and I was able to... like, get paper towels before anything happened. It was no big deal. So, we're back. Let me give her a treat and make sure she's okay, though. Here you go. Okay. Sorry for the drama, and also I'm sorry that I had the music not playing. I should have started it before I ran off. But like, it's really convenient that cats usually find the most random ways to get stuck at places and call for help. Yeah, Misty usually like is clawing at the couch, and then her claws will get stuck, and then she'll just like she'll get freaked out. But yeah, she's in good shape. But she probably pukes like once a month, and whenever she does, she's just like she just yells whenever she does that. She just like screams, or she just starts going meow, like she knows she's not feeling well. It's really cute. Mother 4 foreshadowing, yeah, kinda. Do you guys remember Mother 4, the fan game that got changed to Oddity? I don't think that's actually happening, unfortunately. When I was in college, there was this game called Mother 4. It was like just some fan thing, and it was really high quality. I bet the website is still up, because the website was what made it so cool. Well, probably not. It's probably called, it's probably the Oddity Mother 4. Do they have a website still? Oh god, yeah, the Mother 4 website's not up anymore. Darn. Dang, they had this website that was so good. I wanted to show it because it was awesome. It was like one of the coolest fan game websites out there. I really liked it. But the game, that's the part of development where the dev starts fixating with the smallest things. At this point, you might even make an entire dictionary. Yeah, you're right. I kind of get into the long-term plans a little too much, where I think ahead to the problems that I will encounter, and it's hard for me to like choose a font and then think ahead. Well, I know that this is going to cause problems in the future, even though it'll get you through, you know, now. I would not recommend focusing on like localization or translation or trying to figure out these different crazy characters until you have a game that's like actually ready to ship, because this is exactly what I'm saying. You don't need full language support to play this game and to get level design going. You can just I could just ship it as is. I'm so fixated on these really unimportant details. Will I host a game jam someday? I might host one someday, but I personally just like it's hard for me to get into those just because they are a lot of work and they take a lot of time is all it comes down to. Okay. Let's see. So, what I want to do today. So I showed off all of the dialogue box stuff. That's mainly what I worked on the last week. Am I able to later modify the font to add, I don't know what kind of support is that, as they have their own Unicode? Really? I'm not entirely sure. I mean, yeah, because there are, I think that I have some examples of this. Like this has some special symbols too. I'm trying to think. A few of these have custom Unicode characters. I'm trying to think which ones it was. Yeah, these. So here, this is a good example of what you're describing. Chess pieces. I didn't even know that there was Unicode characters for that. But Galactic Alphabet here does not have Unicode characters for it. Even Braille has Unicode characters, but Galactic Alphabet does not. And so what they did is they have like these codes, these like E403 thing. And if you use the font and then use this code, it maps it correctly, so you can still use the Galactic Alphabet even though there's not like a specific, you know, runic alphabet Unicode character. There is one apparently, but and there's all these too, the katakana and the hiragana. What's the difference between these? I mean, I imagine that they're both Japanese, but just a different writing style maybe. This one looks a little bit more complicated. Dude, whoever designed this pixel font, like this is hard. Look how complicated this character here is. How good a portion of the Galactic Alphabet is based on katakana or hiragana? Oh, really? Is it? You got a lot of dots. You got some of the... Yeah, like these swooshes. Kind of reminds me of it too. Yeah, I see it. Katakana is mostly used for loan words and names. Interesting. Hiragana is used for native words. Interesting. Loan. I don't know. You say the word loan. I don't know what that means. The word loan just means like you give something to someone. Both are just sound spelling. Oh, okay. Is it like kanji? Or I guess kanji is the one where it's like English ported to Japanese. Wolf said it first. It's okay. Wolf's on top of things. I'm glad to see you struggle with that. As time goes, I also get fixated like this, not only with dev stuff. One thing I did was to stop at times and ask myself, is the overthinking helping me move? That is such a good way of thinking of it, is that it is a lot of overthinking. And it's also, you know what, I'm gonna just be honest with myself, is that part of it is procrastination, because I can identify what the most important thing to work on is, but if it's a task that's unpleasant or challenging, kanji is the Chinese characters. Oh, okay, gotcha. But if it's some sort of like challenging task or something that I know is gonna be really tedious, it's really tempting for me to say, maybe I'll work on the language support instead. Maybe I'll work on the dialogue bubbles instead. Last week I should have worked on the devlog. That's what I want to work on right now. But instead I worked on dialogue boxes, and that's stuff that needs to be done. I do need dialogue boxes in the game, but that's not important compared to getting the devlog out and getting the stuff that productive procrastination exactly is what it is that you know what you need to do, but you're procrastinating by doing something else that's productive, but it's just like it's all just kind of a big joke. You can also use katakana the same way you would an italic text in English, apart from that mention. Oh, okay. So it's like an emphasizer. That's another thing, is that I haven't done this yet for the dialogue system, but I want to add some sort of like markup where the translators are able to change certain words to be emphasized. Maybe it can be slightly bigger, or it can be colored. Like it can have this Lua word right here turned like bright blue or something like that. Do I have French? The French characters would be supported within this list because it has the extended Latin. He got French. French is what I test all of the localization support with, just because there's a few French speakers in my community. So back to sprites. I might do more character work because I want to kind of land on a solid character size and format. In fact, after stream last week, I was working a little bit more on just figuring out the proportions. Because once I figure out a good character, then I can take that character, hand it off to like Ellie Sprites or one of the other artists that I work with, like Tris Pixels, and using this character, for example, if I'm like, I want every character kind of to be proportioned similar to this, well, then we could start reworking it and I can move things along. But until then, I still am just in the experimental phase. I do a lot of experimenting when it comes to artwork and art style, because I never really considered myself an artist. I consider myself more of a programmer, and I can do coding really confidently, where I don't really need to experiment with stuff. I still do, but not as much as art. With art, I need to experiment. Whenever I'm doing pixel art, I have somewhat of a vision, but mainly I'm just like putting pixels down and moving them around until it looks good. is an artistic made-up language designed to be very small. Oh, cool, that's neat. If the name is going to be colored, it'd be cool if the text matched the player colors. Oh, that would be cool. I like that idea. When I do my game, I'm probably just going to write in Swedish and English, perhaps German if I become better at it. That's cool. I think that whatever you're able to do, English does seem like a good option just because I think that's the most spoken language around the world. And then like from there, it's just like whatever you're familiar with is probably a really good bet because then you can check it yourself and you can tell if it sounds good or not. That is a challenge with translation, is that how do you know if the translation matches the vibe or the tone or what exactly you're going for? If it's a one-to-one translation, even that might not do it because words and phrases and tones and meanings can have different connotations in different languages. You say one thing in English and you translate it, it might not sound quite right. Are you muted? No, you're fine. Game dev is art, in my opinion. Music plus drawing plus code logic plus storytelling. It is totally a combination of all those things together. And the funny thing is that if any one of those isn't landing right, then suddenly the whole game kind of feels off. But still, you can have a game that overcomes, you know, a rough art style. I would say Vampire Survivors has a pretty rough art style, but the game is so fun, and like the rest of the game is so compelling that it's okay if like some of the sprites look a little silly. If you're an artist, art itself is not just images. The composition is important, even if it were just code. That's a really nice way of saying it. Licensing is also annoying with translations if you're not the one translating right. Licensing. Maybe. I mean, yeah, in general, you have to hire the right people and make sure everything is compliant in the right ways. If the gameplay can compensate for the art, I really can care less if the game is ugly. I agree with you completely. It's more than just ugly, too, because you can have really good artwork, but if it doesn't, what's the word? If it's not cohesive, cohesive is a good word for it. Sorry for stuttering. I speak really fast sometimes. What I was gonna say is that you can find really amazing artwork on, you know, on itch.io, and here I'll go ahead and show it. Itch.io pixel art assets. I browse this site once in a while. It's actually been a bit, but you can find really, really good assets on itch.io, and a lot of them are free. Some of these are paid, but like you drop $5 and suddenly you have some really, really high quality effects. Look at these. I actually have some from this artist. I haven't seen this pack yet. Would I use any of these? I might use the circle one. The other ones I don't think I would use. But what I'm getting at is, like, you see how high quality these are? The problem is, you have all these high quality assets, and you mix them together, suddenly they don't look high quality anymore. You put something with this art style, which, like, I think that this art style looks really good. And you put it next to this art style, like you put these rocks, this tree, into this scene, it's gonna look bad. Even though this scene looks really good. This scene right here, I would totally play a game that looks like this. Or this. This scene looks nice, but these sprites would not look right here. Or, you know, what I'm getting at is, even when you have bad looking sprites, if the whole game sticks to a cohesive style, it's still gonna look pretty good. I mentioned Vampire Survivors looking bad, but I actually don't think that game looks bad. I think that game just has a rough art style, but it's done well. It blends well, and like all the characters in that game do look like they're from the same game. It's good. It's artistic. It's a style. It's stylized choice. Here's one by Game Endeavor. Do you guys watch his videos? He has this asset pack on itch.io. It's really good. And same with some of these sprites would look good in my game. I think this character would. Stop being nerdy. It's fine. I like talking about languages. I think it's neat. A game I could use as an example is Potion Permit. The game has some amazing art, but the gameplay lacks a lot. It's a game that, in my opinion, has been hindered by architecturally bad decisions. Interesting. I'm with you that there's plenty of games that are art focused or that are narrative focused. Ooh. You know those AAA games that are narrative focused AAA game, man. There sure are a lot of those. Art is secondary to gameplay, in my opinion. They are both important. Here, this is the way I always like to phrase it, is that the art and the visuals are what sell the game, because that's what people are going to see. They're going to watch the trailers, and they're going to watch the big fantastical things and the things that happen and the visuals, and if it doesn't look good, they're not going to play it. But when you're playing the game, normally it doesn't really matter. Like, the art can kind of devolve. It's okay if the style isn't good, as long as you're having fun. I've played some really ugly looking games, but the thing is, it's hard to convince someone to play an ugly looking game if it looks bad. And a game, the gameplay should be the most important part, really. I agree with you. And that's really where my whole focus has been. I do think that my art style is getting better and improving, but even from the start, it's always been focused on the code. In your perspective, how did you create your custom map editor, and where would be a good place to start? Well, I would say that it's... How did I create the custom map editor? The way I created it is incrementally, and if you go through like my earlier streams, you'll see like some early versions of it where it's just a grid. It used to just be like a big grid world. I'm gonna try and find a video of it, because I think that would be helpful with showing where I kind of came from with it. And also I think it'll help demonstrate how time consuming and how it takes a long time to like get better and get it working. This is probably gonna be a little bit challenging to find. Making more pixel art, even more pixel art. Tile sets and custom levels. Okay, here's I found a stream where I talk about it. Do I show the... Oh, I don't show it. I'm sorry for keeping this off screen, but this is just one of my earlier streams where I'm showing some of the early phases of the level editor. This is after I was making the JSON format and how you can change a JSON file into like these platforms, you know. What I'm getting at is, and this was from 3 months ago, it was an incremental process to get all the way up there. Why you got bored of God of War PS4, they kept interrupting the gameplay with yapping. It was, I agree that there's a little bit too much dialogue in that game. I still was able to get into it. And really the thing is, if the dialogue and narrative lands for me, that can suck me in a lot. That can help out a lot. I think God of War actually is an example of one that I did like, but I can understand why someone wouldn't like it, because another thing with that game is that there is a big emphasis on like the RPG components, because like I was trying to get my dad to play it, and I think that he would like the combat, and I think that he would like the story too. But one thing that was a big turnoff was like you go up to the anvil, the smith, and there's like all these stats. You have all these different gear pieces. You have to equip a bunch of things, and you have to collect materials. There's crafting. There's, seeing all that stuff on the screen is just like overwhelming. When really that stuff isn't even. It's not really that big of an aspect of the game. It's in fact it's a pretty minor aspect. If you removed the crafting and RPG mechanics from God of War PS4, I don't think the game would change that much. It would be basically the same. You could have like equipable skills. That would probably be enough. Is it worth having in your game the level editor? Well, it depends on how long it takes, because is the custom level editor worth having early on in a game? No. I'll just say outright, no, it is not. You should make a game first, and if your game is good, you can make a level editor for it. That's what you should do. You should not spend 4 or 5 months working on a level editor and then realize, oh, actually, I don't want to work on this game anymore, because then you wasted 5 months. What a waste of time. You should work on your game, do the hard part now, make a good game, and if it's good, then you can make a level editor if you know how to do that. But even then, you don't have to make a level editor. There are, I use Tiled. Just use Tiled. What makes Tiled so useful is that you don't need to build custom code to design levels. You can just design them this way. The reason why I made a level editor is because when it's in-game, it is easier. It is easier, but it takes a ton of work to make it work. So if you're willing to spend 5 months working on a level editor, then great, go for it. But that's 5 months that you could have spent working on a game. You could build a whole game in that time. And I think it would be way better use of your time to build a game than build a level editor for a game that you aren't gonna finish. You should finish the game first. It's really, by the way, this is hard. This level editor stuff is probably some of the hardest stuff that I've had to work on. So I really wouldn't encourage anyone to do it unless you were experienced and really confident in your game's progress. I only started working on the level editor 5 years after working on Moonshire. Like, come on. I would say get some progress going on your game first. It doesn't like fit the perspective in my game, so I find using tiles extremely tedious. Well, how would a level editor be any better? Like, because what my level editor is just the same thing as tiled. It's just you place tiles down within the level on different layers. That's all that my in-game level editor is. So if tiles don't suit your game, like what would a level editor even look like in terms of that? There are like game styles. Do you guys remember Line Rider? Oh, Line Rider was so cool. Can I pull up a video of Line Rider? Well, Line Rider was a game where like the whole game was you make levels and then people would ride your lines. Line Rider gameplay. Oh, we're just gonna watch this video because it's gonna be awesome. So what Line Rider was, it's just a game where you draw the levels, and then this character rides the lines, and it's really, really satisfying. I haven't seen that video in so many years. I watched this a bunch of times. 8 years ago? That sounds about right. But anyway, the reason why I brought up Line Rider is because this game, basically the game itself is a level editor. And then the level editor for a game like this is so much different from a level editor for a game like mine, where it's tile-based. This one is more like, I don't even know what I'd call this, physics and line-based, I guess. This song is public domain, right? That's why I can watch this? That's so satisfying. Yeah, this is really satisfying. This video really pushes the limits of the Line Rider engine. Look how fast he's going. Whoa, that's so awesome. That was awesome. That was so good. I love that video. That's a really, really good one. Anyway, if you're making a game like that, then, yeah. Edvard Grieg will sue you? I hope not. That would be crazy. That'd be really wild. Why does it take 5 months? Is the most of the time basically debugging? Well, because, yeah. Because it's hard. That's all there is to it. Let me ask this. Aditya, have you made a game before? Is this your first game? Because if the answer is yes, you cannot make a level editor. Please don't make a level editor if it's your first game. Make a game first. Make a full game. Make something small, and make I don't know. No, it's your first one. Okay. Make something simple. Please do not spend a bunch of time trying to figure out how to make a level editor. Here's the problem. How can you make a level editor when you don't know how to make a level? You need to make a level first. It's really, really important that you get exposure and experience to figure out. Oh, Jam, sorry, I forgot to turn the music back on. There we go. Yeah, you can jam all you want. There's a problem with game development in general where a lot of people get really ambitious. And I was saying this earlier in my stream too, how it is ambitious that I decided to stop working on like developing content for the game, and instead I spent months working on a level editor. That's just like scope creep. It's just like spending so much time on stuff that's... But the thing is, I don't consider it wasted time though, because I learn from it. I do... There's a balance here, because you should work on whatever you want to work on. If you want to work on a level editor and you think it would be fun and you know what to do, you know how to do it, you know what steps you would do to learn, then just do it. We're jamming? Yeah, we're jamming. It works on Kick too, right? But the I get really sad when people get discouraged and they realize how difficult it is. Like, you asked, why did it take so long to make a level editor? I feel like that should be clear. It's really hard to make a level editor. It's really hard to make a level. So making an in-game like set of tools, this is why. Here, I'll try and explain a little bit more, because it really is hard. It really is complicated. My character is holding a new unique item type. You can see that there's like a preview on the ground. I asked for your opinion because I feel that you're one of the most experienced developers in the field. Anyways, thanks a lot. Yeah, of course. It's always a matter of exactly is that I spend a lot of time working up to this. It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy. It's a lot of... What's the I'm trying to think of what is it? The Dunning-Kruger effect. I wonder if I can find an image of that. Okay, this is great. This is great. This is exactly how game development is. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm a big fan of this graph. It is so funny and so real. So what this is describing is when you're first getting into a skill, game development, for example. When you are first getting started with game development and you download your game engine, you download Game Maker or Unity or whatever, and you're putting stuff together and you're following tutorials, you're putting stuff together, and you get a feel for it. You're like a couple weeks in. So you just started. When you started and you've done nothing yet, you're at this point on the graph. You're at this point. And then when you make one game, you make a little bit, you start experimenting, you get some experience, you start getting a little bit more confidence, your knowledge is improving, you're getting some knowledge, and you're getting more and more confident until you reach here. This is the peak. It's hilarious though, because you're only at this point on the graph. You are at peak confidence. You feel like you can do anything because you've completed your first game, you've done some projects, you got a feel for the tech, and you're like, I know what I'm doing. I can do it. I feel so confident. And then that's when you start like working on your dream game. You get sucked into this giant project. That's what I did with like Destination 44 or like my Zelda fan games. All that stuff is, I was feeling so confident I can do anything. And then you start learning some more, and then you're working on the game like a level editor. You're like, I can make a level editor. I know what I'm doing. I can make a level editor. You start working on the level editor, and then you realize, okay, your knowledge is increasing, but like, oh, this is actually kind of hard. This is getting tricky. And then you get more knowledge to the point where you realize, oh, now I know what I don't know. Now I get it. Now I understand. Like you're halfway through the knowledge experience. Now I get it. Now I see how difficult this is. It's not as easy as I thought it was. I thought that I could make a level editor no problem. I didn't think it would take 5 months, but and that was me. I'm like, I could make a level editor in 1 month. And that now I'm like, ooh, now I'm here. Oh, a level editor is so challenging. But you keep going. If you keep going, like your confidence is pretty low. Like, this is the confidence. I'm at a low confidence point right now. But you keep going, it gets a little bit better. It gets a little bit better, and eventually you get to be pretty confident. You never reach the same level of confidence as when you were this ignorant. Like it says, you were only a little bit knowledgeable, but you were at peak confidence. You never reach that level of confidence again. My graph goes up and down. I'd say that this applies to different facets of game development, because game development incorporates like music and sound effects and coding and pixel art and like particle effects and writing. Any one of those you can fall onto this graph, where like my pixel art, for example, you know, I don't know if I really followed that. I felt like I was always never really confident, and now I'm here. But like, I'm trying to think of a better example. I would say music is where I'm at, because I've been producing more music, and I have made a bunch of tracks that I think sound pretty good, and I think that I'm right here. I think that when it comes to music production and creating music, I am right here, because I've made a few tracks that sound really, really good, but I'm starting to try and get these tracks to the finish line, where you master them. You find all the little quirks, you get all the effects in place. And I'm starting to realize this is not quite as easy as I thought it was. Like, I was able to make beats really well. I'm starting to get good at melodies. I've been practicing that a lot, is melodies. And I'm getting better, but now you're cultured with music, I'm still getting there. Like, I'm saying, I do feel like I'm an expert with coding. I feel like I'm cultured with pixel art, but with music, I don't think I'm cultured yet. I think that some of my music is good, but what I'm saying is that I'm still learning, and my confidence is going to probably decrease a little bit as my experience goes up. I'm very bad at music, but I'm slowly learning with LMMS. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it. And the funny thing is, you're going to make a song in LMMS that sounds good. That sounds really good. And it's going to put you up on this peak, and then you're gonna like do something even more ambitious that's gonna bring you down here. And that's just the way it goes. That's totally the way it goes. The biggest thing that game dev teaches is humility. Oh, that's so true. It's so true. What tool do you use for music? Like, any recommendations of tools to create music? Because I'm going to create a bunch of background music. Have you made music before? Will this be your first set of songs? Yeah, I use FL Studio, but LMMS, there's this music production software called LMMS, Linux Multimedia Studio? But it's for all platforms, it's for Windows and stuff. This is what I got started with, it's free. So I made music and beats on this. But, like I said, I feel like I'm here on the graph, but I've been producing music for over a decade. And I've been playing music like I was in band since I was in 4th grade. So like, I've been doing it for over 20 years. And you would think that 20 years of experience, you would be farther along in this graph. But guys, life is long. Think about what an expert in music actually means. An expert in music has made multiple albums and published stuff and performed and toured and stuff. That's an expert in music. I've been doing music for around 3 months. That's where we all start. That's where we all start. Have I tried Ableton? I haven't tried Ableton. Is Ableton for Windows? I can't quite remember. I think Ableton, I can't remember which one was for Mac. Ableton. This site is horrible. Oh my, well, I don't like their website, so I'm just gonna go away. It's for both, yeah. I chose FL Studio specifically because it was for both, because I was jumping between machines. I'm too dependent on FL Studio. I don't know how to use any other DAW. Really, I'm surprised because when I use FL Studio, it really doesn't feel that much different from LMMS, because LMMS has the same, like, you have patterns and you have a timeline and the piano roll is there. It has a different set of effects. So FL Studio does come with effects, but LMMS has its own set, and you can just download plugins from online. I think game development is an uphill battle between the developer and all of the elements of the game, along with time. That's a wise statement. It's very true. Because think of, have you ever heard the 10,000 hours is what it takes to become an expert in something? Because that's like a saying. I don't remember what. There's like an author who said to master any skill, it takes 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours is so much. It is. And think about how long that is. Try to pull up the calculator. Is that if you had 10,000 hours to go and you work 40 hours a week, that's 250 weeks. So that if you worked 40 hours per week, it would take you 5 years about. So that's if you worked full time. So if you're a full-time worker on something and you do it for 5 years, you will become an expert. And full-time means 40 hours per week on the, like, yeah, Malcolm Gladwell. Exactly. Yes, that's it. That's who I'm thinking of. Jaggy Man, thank you for popping in. Appreciate that. What's your opinion on using Love2D to make web games? It is possible. Yes, it is. I would say that I'm a pretty good source for that because I have a bunch. So if you go on Chalacade.com, this year actually, I just went through and made all of my games web games. So this is a Love2D game that's web. This is a Love2D game that's web. Same with Legend of Lua is web. Cavern is web. Destination 44 is web. Tropical Spear is web. Zombie. So all these are Love2D games that are web, except for Skull Survival is Monogame that's web. Comet is Phaser that's web. And that's it. It's hard to turn to web. I think so, because Skull Survival with Monogame, yeah. I think that it is hard. Because it was tricky for me. It is tricky for me. I've been accused of being subject matter expert, but that just means more work. I see. What you do in order to get this into web is GitHub love.js. And you want the 2D engine version. So on GitHub, there is this repo called love.js by developer 2D Engine, specifically the 2D Engine version, because there's another love.js from before by Tanner Rogalski. You don't want that one. It's very easy for you to port your games to web. Good. And this repo handles the hard parts. When I say, but like, I wouldn't go so far to call this easy to use, because you need to still know how web tech kind of works. You need to know how to run command line operation, or like command line stuff. And I think that that's kind of out of a lot of people's capabilities. The 10,000 hours thing shouldn't be considered. It was made up to sell books. He estimated what Bill Gates and the Beatles and others put in before they became famous based on his thinking, not data. Okay, that makes sense. And I agree with you that 10,000 hours is a very arbitrary number. Right? It is definitely made up. He definitely just put that number on there because it sounds good. But also, it sounds good, right? It sounds good. And there is some truth to it, right? That you do need to do something for many years in order to become an expert. He also misrepresented actual data on young violin players. I don't know the history of Malcolm Gladwell or his book or anything beyond that he said 10,000 hours. All that I do know is that it's a good mantra to live by and to encourage people that you need to do it for a long time. My point is that you need to do game development for at least 10,000 hours, roughly, for 5,000 hours, for 1,000 hours, however many hours it takes to become an expert, in relation to this graph at least. Because, and you know, this graph is going to be different for different skill sets. There's some skills that you can become an expert in within, I don't know, however many hours, I don't know. It's just that some skills are very nuanced, like writing or music or programming. Do you think you'll ever become an expert? I think, well, that's kind of a hard thing to say, because an expert, means different things to different people. Expert kind of almost implies that you're done learning, doesn't it? I don't know if I'd say that, actually. Expert is so subjective. Expert just means that you are very good. You're very experienced. And when it comes to coding, I would say that I'm an expert. I'm an expert at coding. In 20,000 hours, that's what it takes, yeah. Because I worked full-time as a software engineer. I worked for Boeing. I worked for Microsoft. My career was more than 5 years. It was something like 6 or 7 years. Wasn't very long. That's not very long, but that's enough time to be working full-time. And then not to mention, I have my degree in computer science. And I've made lots and lots of games, lots of sites. I do think that I qualify as expert. But, game development, though, do I count as an expert for that? I've made a bunch of games, and some of them are good, but I've never sold a game. I've never sold a game for money. I've never, released a game as a product. And all of these are solo developed games. I've never collaborated, really. All of them, I've commissioned people for help, but most of it's just solo developed stuff. So I don't feel like I'm an expert at game development. I feel like I'm getting there. I feel like I'm on the way up, because I do have more confidence. I have a lot of confidence. Average players per day. Well, my game's not really played right now. Even if you're not an expert, that doesn't stop you from making games. You don't need to be an expert to make games. That's a really good point, is that the point of this graph is to be a wake-up call when you get hit in the face with reality. I brought this up when that person earlier was talking about the level editor, and my point of showing this is that if you feel confident that making a level editor will only take you a month, that tells me that you're in these early phases of the Dunning-Kruger experience chart, because level editor, an experienced person knows that's not an easy task. That's a very involved, difficult task. If it was an easy task, why don't more games have a level editor? It's because it's really complicated and difficult. And so that's why most games don't have one. Are you saying you're not a real expert game dev unless you make a viral game? No, not really. I mean, because that's what I mean. Expert means different things. I've made enough games where I feel like I'm an expert at making games because I've made a bunch of them. They're good, and I feel confident enough that I can make whatever I put my mind to. But expert game developer might mean expert in the industry. They've worked at game development companies. They've worked on large-scale products. They've worked on things that get sold for money. They worked on successful projects. That, I think, could be a qualifier in many people's minds. Rightfully so, because that when you say, oh, I'm a game developer, but you just do it as a hobby, even if you're extremely good at it, that's a different skill set compared to a person who runs a game development company and sells products and has employees. That's a way different set of skills. Their skills aren't the reason the games are bad, it's the forced direction they have to take. I think that there is a lot of truth to that, but we can't pass all the blame on management. If a AAA game comes out and the writing is bad, that's not necessarily the management's fault. Management didn't write the game. It was the writers that write the game. Now, the managers might have said, make sure you put scenes of X, Y, and Z into the game, but a good writer can take a direction and make it good. So there's a balance of both. I do agree, though, that a lot of games are completely ruined by money. They have to make money because they're a business. When you have a team of people working on a product, working on a project, and they're all being paid a salary, you have to make money. There's no way around it. And that's the scary, unfortunate part, is that when you have, let's say that I had 5 employees, 5 people in my studio. That means that my studio needs to make $20,000 a month just to pay the salaries of these people. And that's just to pay them minimum wage. That's if they take a really crappy salary. If I wanted a good developer, a good developer is they ask for 6 figures because they're a good developer. The people at Microsoft, they make way over 6 figures. So that's $10,000 a month. So if I wanted a really good developer on my team, that's $10,000 a month just to have one developer on my team. So how much money do you have to make through selling games, through selling microtransactions in order to support that? Now, that's one employee. Think about a company like Bungie. Bungie has hundreds of employees, and they have way more overhead. Do programmers really get paid that well? Yes. Let's pull up Glassdoor. There's this website called Glassdoor. I'm not going to say how much money I made when I worked at Microsoft, but I'll go ahead and show you the Glassdoor page. Or actually, better yet, how about this? How about... No, we'll ask Glassdoor. Glassdoor, Microsoft, software engineer. So Glassdoor is a website where people report how much money they make. But you have to be signed in. I'm not gonna sign in. I love this song, by the way. How much money do software engineers at Google make? How much do software engineers at a small game development studio make? I tried using Glassdoor. I tried not using AI, but I went to glassdoor.com and it wouldn't show me a freaking thing unless I signed in, and I don't want to give them my data. So here we are. Compensation for software developers at Google. So I was L3 when I was at Microsoft. They do make more. I will say they make more than they do at Microsoft, a little bit, but not by much. Yeah. This is where I was. Well, no, I wasn't new grad. I was mid-level. Maybe the titles at Microsoft are different. Yeah, so when I got hired on at Microsoft, I was entry level. I was new grad. Well, I was 1 year of experience actually, and I was signed on as software engineer 1. Where is software engineer 1 at? They don't have software engineer 1 at all. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, yeah, like 200K sounds about right. And small game development studio. Dude, this is just made up. This is made up. Yeah, probably 62, 63. I don't remember. So when I signed on at Microsoft, the way they do promotions at Microsoft is Software Engineer 1 has 2 stages. There's Software Engineer 1 Part 1 and Software Engineer 1 Part 2. Then you have Software Engineer 2, and that has 2 parts, Part 1 and Part 2. Software Engineer, or Senior Software Engineer, Part 1 and Part 2. And when I signed on to Microsoft, I was Software Engineer 1 Part 2, because I was already working in the industry for a bit. And then I got 2 promotions while I was working there, so I ended up being Software Engineer Part 2, if that makes sense. AI hallucinating. Yeah, this is just, like, there are no... Dude, this is so annoying. This is not how much you make at a small... I hate this. I'm not really a fan of this, because, like, why does it start with Software Engineer 2? That doesn't make sense. What about Microsoft software engineers? Okay, so I was signed on as L60. And then when I left, I was L62. I did not get to L63. I was L62 when I left. Google's total compensation is typically $30,000 to $50,000. I wonder if this is still accurate, because the industry has changed since I left. By the way, I left Microsoft in 2023. I have not seen any of this money for a long time, but. since then, I wonder how things have changed. Do you need to be very good at programming to work at Microsoft? Yes. It is insanely competitive. I think I even mentioned that. Highly competitive big tech compensation. So the way they do it is you do like these whiteboarding interviews that are so difficult. Most is in stocks. A lot of it is. It actually says here is that 135K base, 35K in stock, and 50K bonus. This is actually very accurate. I'd say that this is. That sounds right, actually. See, when you see 200K, you're like, man, that's so much. But sometimes that includes like your health insurance benefits or the HSA contributions or your 401k match, which those are still important. Those still definitely count. It's just you don't really think about that in terms of like your day-to-day living. How do you learn all that? It's that. So I got a degree in computer science, but then when I graduated, I actually studied the book to figure out how to get really, really good at programming so I could get one of these jobs. Definitely pre-tax. It is pre-tax. Yeah, I paid so much tax. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I don't see any of that money anymore. I'm kind of just like living off of it a little bit. Supply of people who want to make games is much higher than the demand for people to make games. This is why I don't like this answer, is because I don't think that they're just... If a studio is handing out $75,000 to a freaking junior developer, they're an idiot. They're stupid. You should not be doing that. You have to spend your money wisely. So annoying. Do you consider video game development for your main job? Do you consider video game development your main job and your main income? At this point, yeah, kind of, because it's all that I do. But it's not really earning income right now. Like right now, I don't earn hardly any money. I make some money from Udemy. I make some money from YouTube. But besides that, the games don't make money yet. Now, the goal though is that in the future, over time, I'm going to monetize things a little bit better. I'm going to possibly sell the game for money. Maybe there can be DLC. I could sell the soundtrack, and then I can put more work into these streams where I can start like actually crowdfunding and asking for donations and asking for the subscriptions. But right now I'm not really doing that. I'm keeping things really simple and focusing more on just the development stuff. And then like over time, as the community grows, I think that it's going to like open up more avenues for monetization. But the thing is, if I needed to monetize my channel more, what I would do is I would find a sponsor. Sponsors, you can get a few $1,000 from them. And I would do one video a month with a sponsor, and that would be my job. And then that would be my main job. And that's what I would do if I didn't have like the nest egg, the savings to live off of for now. But the savings are not going to last forever. They're going to go away. Do I do day trading? No, I don't do day trading. I do investing, but it's like index fund investing. It's very semi-conservative, Advice for getting hired in Fang. Would I say Microsoft if you were L63? No, I wasn't gonna say. I was ready to leave. Just because I really wanted to focus on Chalcate stuff full time. The work at Microsoft is very strenuous. Like, we look at these salaries and we're like, that is so much money. And it is. It's an insane amount of money, but the amount of work that they have to go through in order to get that money is crazy, and it's extremely stressful, and you're always on the clock. Like, we were working on cloud tech, we were working on websites, and even when I was, like, we had on-call shifts where I, like, had my phone on 24/7, I would get woken up in the middle of the night. It was horrible. And, like, there were some days, some weeks where I was just nonstop working. I couldn't think about anything else, and, like, that's just how it goes. But that's life. That's life. Every job is like that. Like, lots of jobs are stressful. It's not just this one. It's just they work for it. They work for it. When you are an L63 senior engineer at Microsoft, they expect a lot from you. You are going to be doing some work, and you got to earn your paycheck, And advice for getting in is that, like, I just did the shotgun approach where I just applied to every job I could find, the like high quality ones. Meanwhile, also studying and doing leet code. So there's this website called leetcode.com. I showed it on an earlier stream, where you can like practice whiteboarding problems, or it's just like programming problems that they ask you in these interviews. It's really helpful. And big tech is trauma. This is not even a joke. This is not a joke. When my phone rings and I can hear the ringtone, I actually get a surge of like PTSD, because The only other time in my life I would ever have like the ringer turned on was when I was working at Microsoft, and I had so many websites and like repos that I was kind of in charge of, or I had to make sure were okay, and there were problems a lot. It was horrible and scary, and I was stressed out a lot at times. But you know, I got less stressed out over time. You know, in general, I think most jobs are like that, where you first get started and it's really, really hard and really stressful, and then as time goes on, you get more used to it, and you learn the tricks of the trade. You learn how to do it, because part of the stress is that the website goes down and I don't know how to fix it. That's what's stressful about it. But then when I was better, when I was like L62, I was more experienced. The website goes down and I do know how to fix it. That's a lot less stressful. When you know how to fix something, the stress goes down by a lot. Yeah, it makes sense, because, for example, if you want to republish Necrozone to iOS, you need the Apple developer account, and that's not free. You're right. There's a lot of stuff that isn't free when it comes to publishing and distribution. Steam isn't free as well. And then you could argue that you need to have a company set up in order to properly sell and distribute products for money. That costs money as well. And you have taxes to pay. That costs money. Ideally, you would have a business address that's different from your home address, and that costs money. It just adds up over time. Not to mention like employees and insurance, and if you have employees, you have to pay Social Security tax. The taxes are crazy when you hire people. My first day at a lumber mill was super stressful. I was basically being walked around and told how all this equipment would kill me in a second, and nobody could help me if I got caught in the blades. That's so scary. And I imagine the point of that person telling you all of that is so you would treat it with caution. But at the same time, that's still stressful. Did you quit or did they fire you? I quit. They told me I could come back if I wanted to, but I don't plan to. Since then, though, I have heard about a lot of layoffs. And while I was there, someone from my team did get laid off. So it was within the cards. It absolutely could have happened. Where over the past few years, if I stayed, maybe I would have gotten laid off. But no, I was doing pretty good on the team. I was a valued member, because what I did, and this is good advice for anyone like in the industry, in the biz, is it's a good idea to give yourself some kind of specialty. Is to do something that you know how to do, that no one else knows how to do. So if you know how to deploy the website, it's going to be a lot harder for someone to put your name up when it comes to layoffs. So for me, I was the front-end guy on my team. I did all of the front-end work. I managed the websites, and whenever someone worked on like a back-end feature, they just reached out to me, and then I would implement the front-end equivalent for it. So since I was like in that specialty, that gave me a lot of security, I think. And I think that applies to pretty much any job, is if you're the guy or the girl for something, if everyone goes to you for a specific thing, it's going to be a very big ask when, or like people are going to be less likely to lay you off, you know? Front-end Kyle, that's me. Well, that's why I spend a bunch of time on like websites. I really like making websites, and all of this comes from my time mainly at Microsoft, because I spent 5 years pretty much exclusively as front-end developer. I did some back-end work, and when I was on call, I had to work with the back-end, and I did a bunch of database stuff too. So I still interacted with the back-end things as well. I still consider myself full stack, but I worked on front-end more than anything else. A lot of I use a game engine just because I like working with Love2D, and I like coding my own stuff. If you had to write a CV today, how would you explain the gap? Oh, if I had to explain the CV, let's see. That's a good call out, because you're right. If I were to bust out my resume right now and try to apply to a company, and they saw that I haven't been working for the past 3 years, that would be concerning for someone who is hiring. And the only way to get around that is to convince them that I was working on something relevant. These are the websites that I was working on. This is the projects, the game I was working on. You can see my YouTube channel. I was doing all these things, and like those things, a lot of these aren't directly like engineering related. Like a YouTube channel, you're working on a YouTube channel, it's not related. Why do we care about that? I think that when you are doing something that's relevant, it still works. But also, I don't really plan to reapply. GitHub is the new CV. That's a really good call out. And in fact, even when I was applying for jobs, GitHub was a factor. I still cared about my GitHub, and I put my GitHub as part of every single application. I think that they still looked at it. I do know that when I got hired at Microsoft, my Udemy courses were a big factor in convincing them that I was a good fit. Because if you go to, I think if you go to kyleshop.com, oh no, kyleshop.com just redirects to Childcade. I think if you Google search for Kyle Shop, it comes up with my Udemy. Yeah, here it is. Oh, we got another. Oh no, I didn't mean to close that. We got another Pocopia song. I've been playing so much Pocopia. I really love it. It's like one of my favorite games ever. I think my 2 favorite games are Smash Bros. Melee and Pocopia. They're so good. Anyway, these Udemy courses, I think, were a big factor in selling myself. Because when I was getting the interview, I had these on my resume. And that was nice, you know, seeing these here. They get good reviews and good ratings. Has a lot of students. I think that this was a good thing to have on my resume. And the reason why I know that it was helpful is because the way these interviews work is you go into a room and they ask you a programming question, and then you have to code on a whiteboard. And it's very intense because it's 5 of those in a row. I had to do 5 different interviews like that, basically in a row. I think there was a lunch break. And the 5th one, the last one, I didn't do very well. He asked me a question and I started coding it, and like I kind of flubbed it. My solution wasn't good. I don't even think I solved it properly. And at some point we kind of just like gave up, which is so unfortunate because normally if you fail one of the 5 interviews, you fail the whole thing. That's what happened at Google. I did really well at Google, but I failed one of them. I just did so badly on one of the questions, and that was just the end of it. So when I failed that 5th one, I was like, man, that's got to be it. I don't think I'm going to get past this because he's just going to say no, and if one says no, that's it. But we were chatting after we kind of gave up, and we were chatting about my resume and chatting about my experience, and we were talking about the Udemy courses, and he was super into it. He really loved it. And I think that he just liked that I was interested in tech and that I was interested in teaching and interested in making things. The fact that I published something online is big. You'd be surprised at how many people don't post anything online. And when I'm collaborating with artists, for example, it's basically required that you have some sort of website or social media. It can be like a Twitter or Blue Sky account. It can be literally anything, something where I can go see your work. An itch.io page if you make games, a Steam profile. But a lot of people just don't post anything at all. But since I was like actually posting stuff, and I had these courses for sale, and like they were good, they were selling well. They've always had above 4.5 stars, which is great. And like 17,000, that's a lot of sales. That's a lot of sales that I've gotten over the years. I love that. I'm very, very proud of this. So that's what I'm saying is that performance in the interview is a big factor, for sure. But your skills and personal like experiences still are a factor too. And I am very confident without like my online presence, I would not have gotten the job because I did badly at that last interview. I got lucky. I got lucky that the guy liked me and that the guy saw the potential and like the stuff I was working on, you know. And I think that some hiring people recognize that the process of hiring is a little bit weird. You know, asking someone a really complex coding problem and then expecting them to just code it on a whiteboard without any references or any access to a computer. That's not really a relevant skill. Like when I'm on the job, I have access to the internet. I have access to like the documentation. I have access to libraries that do a lot of the tasks for me. They're like, code a sorting algorithm that does X, Y, and Z. Well, that already exists. Every coding language has a sort algorithm built in that does it automatically. Like in college, they teach you all about like linked lists and these data structures. But you don't use linked lists in the real world. You use libraries that, maybe there's some libraries that utilize them in some way, but in my entire time working in the industry, I've never used a linked list before. That's never happened. Maybe it happens through some like abstract secondary class, or like it uses a linked list concept. But man, it's kind of funny how academic tests are not fully representative of what on the job tasks are. When I interview folks, I just care about if they can think through a problem, regardless of if they get the right answer perfectly. I'm with you, and that's like one of the strategies with these coding interviews, is that it's really important that you talk out loud. Like while you're solving the problem, if you're not speaking, you're not doing it right. Hi, I love your game. Thank you for stopping in. We're just chatting about like interviews and how the industry hires people in terms of like coding work. It's really spreading. It's tough. But yeah, like tech support was saying, is if you can talk through your thought process, that's the main thing. Because if you can talk through a problem, then you can apply that skill of being able to talk through a problem to anything. And tech support, maybe you work in the tech support industry. Tech support requires tons of problem solving, and that's all it is. I don't know if I want to talk about this other. I did an interview with another company, but and I'm not gonna say which company it was, but it was for what's the role? Software. I think it was software support. I think it was a support position. It was software support is what it was. It was for a company doing software support where I wouldn't have been doing the development work. I would have been doing, oh, this song's amazing. I would have been doing the work for debugging problems. So many companies, including Microsoft, I worked with support engineers when I was working there. Someone would, like a customer would report a problem, and then the support engineer starts with like the basic fundamentals of debugging it, where they like look at the documentation, they try to figure out some of the main big causes before they hand it off to the actual developers. And so the interview that I did was for this support developer position, and the way they did it was so weird. It was kind of actually interesting. What it was is they gave me this like fake scenario, this fake like software scenario, but it wasn't like a code. It wasn't like a big wall of code. It was more holistic, where they said you're managing a series of modules that monitor X, Y, and Z, process that data using X, Y, and Z, output that data to this repository where it gets picked up by this software runner and gets deployed to this cloud where it's then downloaded by users and passed into X, Y, and Z. It was like this big, long list of things that was going on in a scenario. Because in a real software support position, that's what it's like. It's like you have this big, long chain of events, and you need to figure out where in the chain lies the problem. That's exactly what this interview is like, is that it was just a matter of stepping through every detail that the interviewer gave me and trying to find where did the problem lie. And a software engineer position like on a whiteboard is kind of similar to that too, where you are incrementally talking through the process, and maybe there's some catch, and talking your way through is how you get to that. All that stuff is still really complex and really, really interesting. By the way, I did not get that job. That interview was 2 of those, where it was 2 different interviewers doing that experiment. I did well on one of them, and I did not do well on the second one. I just didn't do well. Kyle, Deltarune fan? Oh, I'm a big fan of Deltarune. Did I still join Game Jam? No, like a Juniper dev. Oh, I didn't do that one, but I watched her video. It seemed awesome. The not so serious Game Jam. I love it. Spin to win. That's a good one. I really should. If she does that again next year, I should probably do it. I think that would be good. How hard would you say it is to start a devlog for a game? Well, let me rephrase your question. How hard is it to make a video? Have you made a video before? Because if you've never made a video before, it's very hard. Like when I was in school, when I was in like high school, we had video projects where they would send us home and like make a video, like in Spanish. We had a Spanish project where we had to like put on a play and record it and then turn it in. We were all speaking Spanish. And I swear that experience of needing to record and edit a video was so valuable. Even though I was only like 14 or whatever, I still use those skills today. So how hard is it to make a devlog? It's really easy if you know how to make videos, and it's really hard if you don't. But you need to start somewhere. So no matter what, if it's your first video, it's going to be hard. So just go into it expecting that it's going to be difficult and it's going to take a bunch of time. I've made some videos. My dad is a professional editor. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome that you have like someone to ask questions to, like if you get stuck on something. What editing software are you using? Because I'm kind of in between them. I just switched over to using DaVinci Resolve because it's free and open source. And because I was using Camtasia before, and I think Camtasia is easier to use, but it's I was having problems with high frame rate videos. Do you regret in any way, shape, or form becoming a game developer? And if you could return, would you change your profession? No, I don't regret anything at all. But the thing is, like, profession makes it sound like you're employed as a game developer. I was never in my life employed as a game developer. I was always interested in software and programming. So to answer your question, I'm going to rephrase your question, because becoming a software developer was always my passion. Even when I was a kid, I was making games when I was a kid, but I liked the programming aspect of it. So that was always my passion, and I have no regrets, and that's always been what I've been into. Game development is just like a branch of that. And you know, game development incorporates more than just software development. It's more than just software. It's art and music and writing and design as well. And I don't regret that at all either, but I don't really like phrasing it as profession. I don't want to give people the idea that I do this for money. I do not. I don't make any money from game development, and I never have. Maybe someday I will monetize my games in a way that can make money, but profession implies that you are being paid professionally. That's literally what it means. So I've never been a professional game developer, ever. I have been a professional, like, social media person. I've been like a YouTuber, and I've been a professional software developer. You use CapCut too. Oh, I used CapCut when I was making the Udemy courses. That's what I used for that. All pretty good software, it just costs too much. Yeah, try out DaVinci Resolve because it's free. And my problem with DaVinci Resolve, though, is that it's big and it's kind of heavy and it's not easy to use. But I made my most recent devlog using DaVinci Resolve, and I'm glad that I did. It gave me a lot of experience with like learning the ropes to it. There's no easy way to do it. Live's free and open source video ever. Apparently it's got a steep learning curve. Yeah, if we're talking about steep learning curve, I'm just gonna stick with DaVinci, because at least DaVinci has a lot of good support, and it's widely used, I think, at least. I only use Blender for animation since I'm comfortable using DaVinci Resolve for compositing. Nice, that's cool. I've been wanting to get into Blender. The thing is, recently I've only been doing pixel art. I haven't been doing any 3D art, but I know Blender is good for 2D art now. I would totally use Blender for animating. I've always wanted to make like an animated, just like a 10-second animated clip and put it on YouTube. There's so many like really short viral videos of just some weird little animation that makes me laugh. I would love to make something like that. You use CapCut and it lags your laptop a lot. That's too bad, because CapCut is kind of like a lighter weight engine, as far as I know. A lighter weight video editing software. I think that editing videos in general is a heavy task, because you're putting all of these video clips into your memory, like into VRAM. Is it in VRAM or is it in regular memory? It's probably in both, because you have a low-end laptop. I wish I had better advice on what to do for low-end specs when it comes to video editing. But someone asked earlier, is it hard to make a devlog? Even for me, it is hard to make a devlog because my standards have gone up. If my devlog was just a clip from the stream, because you know, this stream is kind of like a devlog, I could just sit down at my desk and turn on the camera and talk for 5 or 10 minutes about some specific feature, and then post that as the devlog. No editing, no special stuff. Maybe I could put backing music, but total of 30 minutes of work for the devlogs. I could do that. And thanks to streaming, I'm comfortable enough in front of a camera where I feel like I could make a decent video like that. The reason why I don't do that, though, is because the quality isn't as good when you do it quickly like that. Instead, what I do is I spend a couple days writing a script. I already wrote the script for the next devlog. Then I spend a day recording the audio getting the music mixed in, making sure that anything involving the audio, basically, because I need to find all the music and then record the voiceover and then edit the voiceover and then mix it all together. That stuff is really, really hard. Script sneak peek, not yet, but it's going to be about the level editor. I have a lot to say about it. Then, after the voiceover is recorded and I have the music integrated, which that is honestly, the music integration takes all through the course of the rest of the project. Then I have to start recording and recording the visuals. And the visuals, even when a clip is like 15 seconds long, I'm going to pull up just a random devlog to demonstrate, because it's frustrating how much time even a small, simple clip can take to record. Here, I'll show one of my shorts. Like my most recent short. My most recent short got a ton of views. Video games have great sound effects, and there's a really simple trick that can make everything sound better. When a single effect is played over and over again, it can be really obnoxious hearing the same noise on repeat. I noticed this in my game when I burned these thorns. I need some variety here, so I tried a higher pitch and a lower pitch. Then I can make the pitch random so it's less repetitive. I apply a small amount of randomness to most sound effects, so I get a lot more variety without any extra work. The best video... So that was a 1-minute video, and by the way, this video has 1.5 million views. That's amazing. Thank you for all the views. That's so cool. But, oh, self-like? Heck yeah, shameless. But what I was going to say is that this video took 10 hours. It took 10 hours to make this video, and it is 1 hour long. It took 10 hours. The reason it took 10 hours is because these clips, the best video games, where they're in the vertical format, took a lot. I had to orient the game window to be this perfect vertical orientation. I had to search throughout the levels to find a good spot where I could do this, like run through to demonstrate this stuff. That takes time. Then, even when I find a spot that I want to do it, it takes several takes of me running through this area. Sound effects, and there's a really simple trick that can make everything sound better. So that was literally a 5-second clip. I bet I recorded that 10 times, because when you're playing the game, it's really easy to do a small little blip like this. Like you press it twice, or like you do a weird angle, or when a game's in development, it's really tempting to try and hide any of the jank. And that's part of the problem here, is that I wanted the clips to look really, really good, so I had to orient everything within the game window to be as perfect as possible. And the result is a really high quality video. There's a reason it got 1.5 million views, but it just takes a long time. And my devlogs are the same thing as well. My most recent devlog, it's performing fine, but I'm just really proud of it because it's super high quality and I just like it a lot. This is good. What I'm getting at is, even though I feel like I am better skilled at making videos, it still is hard. It still is hard. If you didn't like it, why wouldn't you publish it? Good point. Yeah, so it's just a lot to consider. How can you make a game without getting stuck on a specific engine? Oh, sorry, getting stuck on a specific engine. How do you structure the code base of your game? How can you make a game without getting stuck on a specific engine? What do you mean by stuck on a specific engine? Do you feel stuck in a specific engine? Like you're used to using Game Maker and you want to move on from it? Because that's where I was. When I was in like high school, I used Game Maker every single day, and I got so good at Game Maker. But then when I was in college, I wanted to transition into something more code-focused, and that was a very hard transition for me because I was able to make good games with Game Maker. I made like a Zelda fan game. I made a Pokemon fan game. I was pretty good with it. So switching from that over to Love 2D, where it's not easy to make a fan game, it's actually really hard doing something like that. That is a big step. It's a big, hard transition. And the reason I did that is it really is just because I wanted to get experience more, and it's hard. It's going to be hard no matter what you do. So if you want to switch you don't, by the way, you don't have to switch engines. You can make any game with Game Maker, you're fine. But if you want to switch engines, then you just have to kind of suffer through that awkward phase. It's really, where it is hard, you don't really know what you're doing. Switching away from Love 2D. If I wanted to make a 3D game, I probably would move on to something different, but I also might not, because I know how to render things in 3D with Love 2D now. Like, I get it. I feel like working on the Z-axis stuff with Love 2D with Moonshire helped me get a better grasp on how 3D graphics work in general. Because, like, we have this block over here, and, like, my game is a 2D game. There is no Z-axis. I'm jumping up here, and I have this. I can walk behind the block, too. All of this, surprisingly, still kind of applies to a 3D engine. It still does. The message was sent 2 times. Oh, no worries. I wonder why. That's pretty weird. I'm planning to make a game jam someday. I don't know about that. Maybe I will. Anyway, do I have any ideas for any 3D games? I don't have any ideas. I would probably make another Moonshire-like. I'd probably make something on this vein, but not at first. My first 3D game will be a simple game. I'm going to remake Pong. So my idea for my first 3D game, Pong. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to be so excited. It's gonna be the same. It's gonna be the best Pong you're ever gonna play. Same universe. It's gonna be the same universe as Moonshire. It's gonna be a Pong set in Moonshire. It's gonna be awesome. I'm very excited for that. I always avoided making 3D games because of my bad PC. That makes sense. I think that's perfectly fine. And honestly, that was a factor for me too. I also grew up with a really crappy laptop and just used Game Maker. And even Game Maker was a little bit heavy for that. 3D Pong, that's possible. I mean, I followed a Pong tutorial in Unity. I think it was the Brackeys tutorial, actually. But anyway, I think that we have reached a good conclusion to the stream. I'm ready to go get my food. I'm gonna go get my McDonald's today, like usual. And I really appreciate all the people that were here in chat today. For 3D Game Week, consider using Game Engine, or we'll use another lightweight framework or library. That's what I was saying, is that, like, I think that I would try using an engine to see how I feel about it. But since I know how 3D works, I might try also coding my own, because I could do that. I built my own game engine to use ECS architecture, built an importer that handles tile TMX. Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool because, yeah, integration with tiled would save a lot of time. And I did start doing that too. I tried doing that. I think that what you described is a really good system though, because that can save a lot of time when you're able to use TMX files. But all right, I'm done for today. Thanks everyone. Thanks to Charlie and Baron, Rescue Squad, Nart, and Wolf, Adele, and Greldek, Saba, and all the folks on Twitch like Corix and Baron Jaggyman, and all the folks on Kick as well, like Baron and Roy. Roy started to stop by earlier. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate that. It's really kind of you. Today I was doing a triple stream. Recently I've been working on my Chala Chat stuff to make sure that it works across all platforms. So these past couple streams have been visible on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. So feel free to follow me on any of those, and I will see you again on the next one. Bye everyone.